she managed to get herself a very comfortable sort of deck chair, which allows her, because she's got quite painful back still, and there's not many chairs she can sit in, but this one she can lie in, and she's often there in the garden with a book, and I think she's meditating more and more actually, because I delivered lunch to her, and then I realised she was meditating, so I had to take it back, and about an hour later she turned up and I had to heat it up again. So, yeah, she's good. So I guess she'll be back next week with you. So to begin with, I had a few reflections today. I was thinking a little bit about compassion and the expression of, allow yourself to open your heart. I'm sure a lot of people have heard that expression. You need to open your heart, allow your love out, and so on. And I was wondering, what that felt like. My father's been quite ill. I'll say a little bit more about that in a moment. But I decided I'd been caring for him a bit last week. He lives about 2.5 hour drive from me, and I decided I'm going back there tomorrow to see him. I thought I'd take a walk in the hills, in the Malvern Hills, and I went for a nice walk, and then I found a nice bench, and I had some coffee with me, and I sat on the bench. Sun was shining, and I was looking out, and I realised that my heart was open. Not only was my heart open, I felt the whole of my body was open, and it was very kind of visceral. You could feel it in your body. It just felt open. And I thought, oh, this is I'm feeling good and happy and relaxed and so on. And other people probably out elsewhere in the world don't always feel very open, particularly when difficulties and disasters strike, and worries and anxieties and depressions and things. You feel sort of as though your world is closing down. And ironically, when I got back from my walk and I had a little bit of lunch, my sister phoned me and she said that the district nurses have been in, and my father's probably only got a few days left before he goes. Just to put this in perspective, my father on next Saturday will be 103 if he survives. So it's not like he hasn't lived a good life. He's not in pain. He's demented, and he has moments where he recognises us, and he's at home. My sister and my nephew are caring for him, and he he's had a good life. He's had a life that hasn't been too painful and too difficult, and he's been able to look after himself. He's a very, very independent man. He's looked after himself up until about 6 weeks ago. So for 102 years, well, not when he was a child, but 100 and something years, 90 years, he's been pretty independent. So everyone has their time. But it did make me, this call from my sister, I could feel my body cramp up a little bit, and I felt a bit tearful. And there's no logical reason really. Logic says, well, it's time to go. He's had a good life. What are you worried about? But of course, logic and feelings are two different things. So I thought we'd do this evening a compassion meditation, partly for me, because I feel like, giving myself some compassion and giving my father some compassion, whatever happens to him, wherever one goes, if a consciousness goes anywhere. I'd like to just remember him. And for all those of you out there who are feeling a little bit tight, if you feel a bit tight and a little bit strained, a little bit tired even, self-compassion can go a long way in helping us to kind of open up and relax. And just this kind of focusing on the mind, contacting as best we can a sense of love, care, towards ourselves, Can't really care for other people unless there is some degree of care for ourselves. And it's not always easy to move from being busy and active, or in a state of anxiety or worry, and or feeling a bit down, or in a lot of pain and so on. But it is possible to, even when we're suffering, to just remember ourselves. And I said this last week, and I don't know if anyone really believes me, but I remember reading this in some research, that apparently it's a research with a pencil. If you put a pencil under your nose, it has a certain effect on you, because it makes your face go like this. And if you put a pencil in your mouth, it goes like this. And apparently it's been shown that if you smile, it changes your mood. So I always encourage people when they meditate to just remember to have a little smile. I mean, you don't want to say grin, but you don't want to be silly about it. But just to kind of, sitting there with a sort of feeling grumpy and looking. I know some people might look grumpy because people tell me I look stern a lot of the time. And I'm not stern, actually. I'm thinking of the next joke to tell or something. But so, looks don't always tell you, but you could try it out while you're meditating and see if it improves your meditation. Just, if you notice, if you ever look at a Buddha figure, there is this sublime smile. There's not a grin, but there's just a very, peaceful, sublime smile. And you could even spend a whole meditation just developing that smile, and it would have quite a positive effect on you, I think. Just having that sense, because you can only really smile like that if you let go, if you have a sense of your body letting go. It's as though all the thoughts and all the worry, which are driven by thoughts and anxieties and so on, you have feelings, but then we start thinking about what those feelings mean and so on, and then we generate more feelings. And so we have thoughts and all these feelings going on. If you think of these like the sediment in water, and in the meditation, what you're ideally trying to do, well, trying isn't really the right word, actually. What you're allowing to do is for the sediment to sink so that your mind becomes clearer. And as it becomes clearer, things are in perspective. And then you start seeing, well, actually, life is difficult sometimes, but there's also lots of pleasant things that happen as well. So I remember this with my father. When I feel a bit sad, I think, well, he's had a good life. He hasn't suffered and so on. I find stops. I find it stops pain. Smiling. Oh, thank you, Yvonne. So if you're in pain, just see if you can practice this too. But I'll just lead you through a compassion meditation, and just see how you get on too. And we'll just start with ourselves, because we need to have compassion for ourselves, really care for ourselves. So first of all, just becoming aware of our body. And I can see a lot of you are sitting up. So if you're sitting up, just allowing your body to find its kind of neutral position. If you're leaning back, then just try not to slouch too much. You might have a little pad or something, if you've got one handy, just to put behind you. And your head is very, very heavy. I think I mentioned last week it weighs about 6 to 8 kilos. So it's just balanced at the top of the neck here, this great big 15 cans of baked beans, if you want to visualize the weight of your head, is sort of balanced on top. So when you're doing this, all these muscles are tightening up. So getting your head into a nice balanced position, and you can let your eyes close. So you're starting to close down your external perceptors, your eyes and ears. You don't need to use these, and I guess all of you are at home and feeling quite safe and comfortable. You don't need to be on guard, and you can just come into your body more. And I like to think of my thoughts. I'm a real thinker, so I have lots of thoughts. And I like to think of them as having a certain mass. And I like gravity to just drain my mind, drain my head of my thoughts. I don't know if my mind's in my head, but to drain my head of my thoughts. That's where they seem to take place. So I like to think that not only is my body, I'm letting go of my body into gravity, which we can all have a go at, this lovely force that's holding us, balancing us, and then having a sense that the thoughts that are like sediment in our mind can just sink, and even the feelings that come, at least the ones that are a bit dark and heavy, we can let them sink too. And as we do so, we could just bring attention to our smile, to that relaxed, but I was going to say cheeky. It's more than that, really. It's more of a relaxed, more sublime smile, letting go, opening. And you may feel that your body, as it relaxes, it feels more open, as though your heart center is opening. And each time you wander off with a thought, because we're actually thinking a little bit to do this practice, but sometimes we get fixated on something else. So when we become aware of that, just think that's a magic moment, a golden moment of mindfulness. Oh, I've gone off. Instead of giving yourself a hard time, just think, great, look at that, I've become aware, I've gone off. Now I can come back. So it's like a win-win situation. As soon as you notice you get distracted to something else, and just notice it and then come back, having this sense of opening, allowing the mind to clear, the sediment to drop. And a slight, if you can manage it, a slight smile on the face, and even a kind of sense of well-wishing. Not that, I mean, some of you may have an illness that you're never going to be free of, but, you know, how we deal with things, we can have a sort of sense of being well about them. We can use our minds in a more whole, more well, kindly way. So we can kind of just maybe say to ourselves, if we want, may I be happy, may I be well, may I be successful in letting the mind clear. That may not always work. So you may just prefer to just play around a little. How would you allow your mind to clear? Let the mind just become quiet. And the body's still, although it's lots of things are going on inside the body. We can just let them go on. We don't have to pay attention to them. And we can feel a sense of expansion, possibly, as we relax. With kindness, there comes often in the body a feeling of, well, the opposite of tightness, I suppose, expansion, becoming bigger, looser. And if you find your mind is wandering off too many times, you could just be aware of your breathing. In fact, we could all try this. We could all breathe in and breathe in a kindly breath coming into us, bringing life, bringing all the oxygen we need to live. Maybe there's something more, like love, that's generated, and it's flowing out to all the cells in our body. Just releasing as best you can, softening, letting go. If there's pain, well, not avoiding the pain, but allowing yourself to acknowledge there's pain, softening around the pain. If it's a nervy pain or an ache, as best you can. And then being aware of the other parts of your body, not that are not hurting. Might just be the tips of your fingers or lobes of your ears. And with each out breath, maybe you could experience the letting go a bit more, softening, being kinder to yourself. And just bring to mind someone who you like, who's not a problem in any way. Someone that's easy to be with. It could be a friend, it could be a family member. It might even be someone you don't know very well, but you just see them. They make you kind of happy to see them. You could just breathe with them. They're breathing, you're breathing. Very often we're just longing for connection with others. And we can make this connection imaginatively in our mind as we bring this person into our mind. Maybe wishing them well, happiness, freedom from suffering. Maybe seeing them smile. And if you're not a particularly visual person, I'm saying seeing them smile, it may not work for you. You just have a sense of them smiling. You don't need to see them per se. Just have a sense of this person being kind of loose and joyful, happy. Just kind of contently happy is enough. Relaxed. Just allow yourself to experience your own response to that, how you feel. It often is a feeling of the heart opening, the body softening. Kindness is very healing. As we know, people are kind to us. And even kind thoughts probably cause a vibration of some sort that go out into the world. Just keep breathing with them, having a sense of them being happy. And even when they have difficulties, as we all do in life, sometimes there are difficulties and stresses and strains. And we just wish that they have the way of the resources they need to be able to deal with their difficulties. I mean, difficulties in life aren't always bad. They provide challenges that make us stronger. We wouldn't want to wish them on people, but when they come, we can learn how to accept them and keep a perspective of that difficulty with the rest of life. And we could see this happening to our friend, the person we care for. So each out breath, we could imagine a vibration going to them if we wanted to. Our thought creating a vibration that softens them, releases them, relaxes them. And if this brings with it a feeling of joy for you, oh, enjoy it. And if it's not bringing a feeling of joy for you, it doesn't matter too much. You just keep on wishing this person well, joy, happiness. Maybe the effect on ourselves comes at a later time. And it's not just one person we want to connect with. Probably our deepest longing is to connect with others in ways that are not intrusive, that they're not intruding into our own space. We don't have to take responsibility for them. But a connection where we kind of feel as though we're all part of this human species, part of life, of everything. I like to imagine a vibration going out into the world that's, I mean, everything, even matter, solid things, are all made up of vibrations. So it's not too far-fetched to think that one can cause a vibration of kindness to travel like a sound wave through the air, through space, or light particles or wavelengths, kind of bombarding other people with kindness. Probably bombarding isn't the right word, but raining down a gentle rain of kind of golden light of kindness. As though we're giving them kindness from our heart, flowing out to them, relieving them of some suffering, supporting them, difficulties. And this way our mind becomes more, we become more present in our mind. We allow ourselves to be a bit more in a what we could call the zone. Well, last week I called it the groove, kind of musical term. We can just enjoy that feeling of kindness flowing outwards, connecting with others. All around the world, 7 or 8 billion people, many of whom experience difficulties, fear of the future, traumas from the past. Just, it's difficult to grasp how many people there are, but we could somehow perhaps imagine it's just life pulsing, like we're all breathing together. And one little vibration sets off another vibration, which sets off more vibrations, and who knows what effect we may have. It certainly affects ourselves when we can just open up, allow our love to flow outwards, kindness to flow outwards. Even if we don't feel it as a kind of feeling in ourselves. Maybe even just the thought of being kind to others sets up a vibration, a resonance. Anyway, we've come to the end of that practice, so you could just begin to come back to your own body and maybe just move it around a little bit. Have a little stretch. And I hope you felt some space to breathe. This is the name of this program. If you want to, I asked people, some of the people at the beginning, if you wanted to score how present you were. I probably should have said how tight you felt, and to see if you felt a bit looser. So when you think of being more present, think of it in terms of being a bit more kind of open and loose. And if you want to score that, you could send a little text, watch them go by. Well, it had an effect on some of you. Good. That's lovely. It's almost past now, and so Vidyamala is going to be back with you next week, and I guess she'll be looking forward to it. So she'll continue on Tuesday evenings, and I hope you all have a good week. And don't forget, when you're feeling a bit down, a bit blue, a bit tight, either put a pencil in your mouth, that way. That's it, yeah. And some of you are doing it. And just to have a little smile, even, oh, look, you're all trying it now. And just notice if it makes a difference. At least it might remind you that it's time for a little bit of self-metta and self-love, a bit of perhaps just sitting quietly and breathing a little more deeply at first. So I hope you go forward and keep in mind these little techniques of dealing with the difficulties of life. So you can leave whenever you want to now. I'll just watch the comments coming in thick and fast.